All right. So, hey, it has been a hot minute since you last saw my face. I have a plan for today. I woke up at an absurdly early hour and I have a lot of energy for this one project, and I've decided to take you along with me. And don't worry, it is a bookish project. So let's get to sorting and organizing all of the books. Okay, so this is the plan for today. I woke up at an absurdly early hour this morning because I was full of energy. Today is the day that I'm going to reorganize my bookshelves. I do this roughly once a year. La rentrée, which is back to school, is the perfect moment to do it because I've got all of that organization, getting ready for the work year ahead kind of energy going. It's the end of summer. I've been doing a lot of projects this summer that have involved a lot of reading. If you've been paying attention to my blog, I read something like 30 history books this summer. So a lot of reading has been happening and not a lot of organizing after the fact has been happening. So I've got a few goals. One is that I just want to have the bookshelves looking pretty again. And then because that's extremely important for my mental well-being and just feeling happy in my space. And then the other thing too is that there are a lot of books up here that I either haven't read in years or that I only read like the first introduction or the first couple chapters and then I never finished. So I want to figure out which books I still haven't read that are still sitting on my bookshelves. And thirdly, there are a few books that I don't think I need anymore, notably like a lot of books that I had from school or university, and that I can maybe let go. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. I think that this space can use a good clean, a good organizing, and today just feels like the day to do it. And I figured I have a book channel, and it's a book channel that I've been neglecting a little bit, so I figured I'd take you all with me on this little organizing adventure, and we'd see how we do together. So let's get to cleaning and sorting out my bookshelves. I am so excited, I don't even have the words. is 3 shelves on the floor, and as you can see, it is lovely piles of books everywhere, including an entire thing on the couch, or chaise, whatever that's called in English. So yeah, so I've got 3 shelves. So the way this was working before is that the top shelf was 19th century literature of all kinds. Second shelf was fiction, 20th century, and then the third shelf was genre fiction. And what I might do, I actually have no idea how I'm going to reorganize these 3 guys, but for now, I think the plan is going to be to go through each book and sort. So there's 3 categories. There's books I'm without a doubt putting back on the shelf, books that I don't want to put back on the shelf, and then there's 3 books that I want to put back on the shelf but I haven't read yet. So I need to figure out how to put them back on a shelf in such a way that I know that I need to read them. So I might actually, for the first time in my life, have a to-be-read bookshelf. Instead of buying or fetching or getting more books from the library, I really need to make an effort to read what I have because there are some real gems in here. Okay, all right, talking to the camera over, let's get to sorting. Oh, and I need more tea. Are you excited? Is this exciting? He's like really excited. Okay, all right, back to work. One of the reasons I try to do this every year is because I once discovered that I had 2 copies of Simone de Beauvoir's The Second Sex and 3 different copies of Hegel's Phenomenology of Spirit, and I had been taking notes and marking all 3 copies of them. And I realized that that was excessive and that I did not need 3 copies. So I decided that this would become a yearly tradition. I think this was like 2 years ago that I discovered this. So indeed, there are a few books. So when I talk about getting rid of books, what I'm mostly talking about is getting rid of... I read an amazing book a few weeks ago. It's Stéphane Larue's Le Plongeur. And I got to chapter... What is it? I got to chapter 34, which, by the way, is like 6 or 7 chapters away from the ending of the book, and realized that this book is a misprint and that it stops at page 504 when there's in fact like 50 more pages to the book. So when I talk about getting rid of books, I'm talking about getting rid of stuff like this where I love this book and I absolutely do want my own copy, but not this copy. So this is a book of shame going over there. Okay, so what are we gonna do? Oh, there's always kind of like a moment when I'm looking at all of this and I'm just like, ugh. Okay, so let's do something super, super easy. I 100% know that I want to keep Jane Austen's Persuasion. That is something that is very easy to figure out. So Persuasion, for instance, this is L'Église en procès by Jean Sévillat. It's a book that I've been wanting to read for a while. So this is keeping in the question mark pile. It's a book that I think I want to keep, but I need to read it. So this is going to become the TBR. So there's going to be a TBR thing. Oh, here's another book that I'm 100% keeping. It's Maryse Condé, Moi Tituba Sorcière. This is staying. Jules César, La Guerre des Gaules. You're staying too, even though I kind of want to get a better edition with more footnotes. But this is staying for now. I like having my own copy. North and South is staying. Witchmark by C.L. Polk is fantastic. You are staying. Ooh, this is a good book. I can't remember if I actually read it this past spring before I started the vlog or after the vlog. This book was fantastic. If you like murder mysteries, if you like the supernatural, if you like old grumpy women living at the edge of a snowy forest, this is the book for you. I really, really liked it. Half-Blood Blues, Essie Edugan, 100% keeping, but I need to read it because I think I only got through, I only got through the first chapter. So 100% keeping, but I need to read. Same with Beloved by Toni Morrison. I've read quite a bit of Toni Morrison, but I haven't read Beloved yet, so that's 100%. Oh, Marcel Proust. I need to read him too, so that's also a TBR pile. What are you? The Maysky Diaries. Yeah, I want to... This is like a nonfiction about Stalin. I want to keep this. So this is TBR. Boulevard. Okay, this is not a TBR pile, but I do need to read this. But this is going to go with magazines. So I guess magazines can live over here for now. This is a workbook that Grammaire non sexiste de la langue française. If you've been on my French blog at all, you know that I basically, I love this book. I quote it as much as I can. So this is Staying. Staying. Okay, I'll figure out where to put it later. The Age of the Vikings. This is... I'm about halfway through and I quite liked it, but I think it needs to go in the TBR because I want to finish it and figure out if I want to keep it. The Companion Species Manifesto, Donna Haraway. The Passenger Japan, this is a TBR. Axioms End by Lindsay Ellis. You know what? This is a keep. This was fun. Okay, 100% a keep is Tanya Tagaq's Split Tooth. Not only is this a keep, this is like a reread once a year keep. So 100% staying. Anne Hébert, L'Enfant Chargé de Songes. I don't know, do I want to keep you? This is a book that I had when I was a kid. You know what? Let's reread it and decide if I want to keep it. Oh, hello. This is a TBR. This is another one that I read when I was a child. I'll TBR it because I need to reread it. I don't think this is mine. So this is not mine, but I think I have to keep it because it's Leif's. Let's put it over there. Murakami. Have I read IQ84? I don't know if I've read IQ84. I've read quite a few of his other books. Okay, this can be a TBR for now. Élégance du hérisson, 100% staying. La loi du rêveur de Daniel Pennac. Have I read this one? This can be a TBR. I can figure it out. Ooh, Robin Maynard, Policing Black Lives. This is a TBR because I need to finish it. Alexandre Dumas, La Reine Margot, TBR because I need to finish it. Ooh, this was a Christmas present from last year, which I still haven't read, by Caroline Weber, and I really like her way of writing, so TBR. I want to finish this. Okay, all right. Okay, so there's a lot of books here, so I'm going to stop narrating and just get to organizing. Oops, don't fall over. Yeah, so I'm just going to get to organizing, and I'll check in very shortly. Okay, all right. Okay, so this is so funny. This is something that my friend Lambert, who worked in a secondhand bookshop, he found me this book by G. et D. Lemay called Les Drogues Femmes de Gersande. Et it's from the, oops, it's quite old. I should probably be a little gentle with it. It's from 1967. And it is the only book I have ever seen with my name somewhere in the title. So I'm keeping it on that basis alone. I've never actually read it because I tried once and it was incomprehensible. It's just very typical bad sci-fi. But I love it. This will always have a place in my library because my name, spelt this way, doesn't happen very often. So, yay! Okay, alright, that's all. I just wanted to note that. So I'm actually really kind of proud of myself because that is my TBR pile right here. This is like the TBR pile. It is quite tall. There's a lot of books in there. Also, this is not the research TBR pile. This is the research currently reading pile. It's not actually that massive anymore because I made a dent in it this summer. But look at all this stuff. This is all stuff that like I need to read and decide. I mean, like, there's quite a bit of this that I know I'm keeping on my bookshelves, but there's quite a bit that I want to make sure that, like, if they live in my bookshelves, it's because I want to refer to them again, and some of them are also masterpieces, so I need to read them. But I was really worried that my TBR was going to dwarf the rest of my books, but no, actually, it's quite respectable. So far, 3 shelves down, most of these books, these are all books that I've actually read. I'm doing really well. I'm doing so much better than I was thinking I thought it was going to be a disaster. I'm actually quite proud of myself. So, all right. I still have all of these books to sort through. I'm going to decide which books to put back up on the shelves and then tackle next shelves. Okay, so I have to figure out how I'm organizing my bookshelves. I kind of want to take, this has always been kind of prime real estate because it's at eye level. I've usually actually kept my 19th century books here because I love 19th century literature. It's a period I find absolutely fascinating, especially late 19th century literature I find really fascinating. So I had it here, but I think just to actually get through my TBR and read, we're gonna put the TBR piles in here. I have no idea how I'm gonna organize it. Maybe just like purely by alphabetical last name of author, or maybe language, French, English, subject. Okay, let's figure something out. So there's like two books that I've just found that I love so much and want to recommend. And so first is Burial Rites by Hannah Kent. If you like Iceland, if you like sad stories, if you like haunting, gripping, awful tales, this is an incredible book. It's not historical fiction. Well, it is historical fiction, but it's a fictionalization of Agnes Magnusdottir's last year on Earth and why she was the last woman hanged, the last person, I believe, put to death in Iceland in, I'm trying to remember what year it was, 1830, I believe. It's a really, really good book. So highly recommend Burial Rites by Hannah Kent. She is not an Icelandic writer, but fantastic vibe. The second book is a book that is L'élégance du hérisson de Muriel Barbery. This is a book that's been translated in English, and I've been told the translation is good. It is a book about the unlikely friendship between a precocious, very intelligent, but very mentally ill young 11-year-old, I believe, a very young girl, with the concierge of her building, who the concierge being like the older caretaker. She's a woman and she takes care of the building in a very bourgeois part of Paris. This book came out in the early 2000s, I believe, and I remember reading it at the time. It was very good. I reread it a few years ago, and honestly, this is on my reread on a periodic basis pile because honestly, Barbery is a great writer. In this one especially, I really, really liked it. This is a book that I highly recommend. The third book that I recommend is one that I read a really long time ago. It's an American, I believe. Her name is Ruth Ozeki, and it's called My Year of Meats. This book is the kind of book where half the people who are gonna, well, actually most people who finish reading it are gonna just be like vegetarian for a little while. The principal character is a documentary filmmaker, and this is her testimony, narration of her experiences filming the giant industrial agriculture industry of the United States. I highly recommend this book. However, this is a book that is not for the faint of heart. But anyways, those were three books that I sort of found and I just wanted to talk to you about because they're great. And if I'm going through all of my books anyways, I might as well counter the despair that I'm feeling about not having enough space for all my books and just be excited about my books and share how much I love these books with you. So anyways, the TBR pile has taken over 2 shelves, and this is actually full of books that I'm going to put to order in a moment. I've been going through these shelves where poetry, literature, and poetry and nonfiction primarily, a lot of essays. And so I've been trying to figure out the best way to characterize everything. I kind of want my anthologies to all live in one place, my poetry to all live in one place. But I've got anthologies spread out a little bit everywhere, so I'm not 100% sure how I want to organize everything. So, and I've got quite a bit on the ground here. A lot of this is fiction. Most of what's on the ground here is actually fiction from you know, from Kafka to Lise Vaillancourt to Pascal to Eilish Niduebe or Marguerite Dumas or Kakuzo Okakura. Actually, this is nonfiction. This could probably go up here. So I really need to figure out where everything is going to live. I've been thinking about my nonfiction. Almost all of this bookcase is nonfiction or oversized books. So a lot of stuff like giant graphic novels live here. I am already starting to get tired only after an hour and a half of doing this. So the philosophy section might be revisited at a further date. So basically these 3 shelves, I might actually come back to these another day. But for now, I'd really like to get these shelves sorted into something quasi-usable. And so now I need to figure out how I'm going to put all of this away. The good news is that like every single book that's on the ground right now, which is in view of the camera, they're all books that I've read and that I know that I want to keep. So that's really like a good feeling. But the problem is that, my goodness, I don't have that much bookshelf space. This is a really small apartment and already like a quarter of it is just bookcases and I'm running out of room. So I need to figure out how I'm going to organize all of this. Anyways, so that's the progress so far. So, yeah. So many beautiful things. Like this one was beautiful. Yeah, okay. There's a lot to do. A lot to do. And, oh, yes, thank you. So my large camera just died, so I guess I'm using my vloggy vlog camera to finish talking about this. So I'm reaching the point where I'm having huge regrets about all of my life decisions. I love all my books, but this is a lot. Basically, I just don't know how I'm gonna fit all of this onto only 3 shelves, and I'm kind of sad. Basically, all I want out of life is just space for all my books, and so that I can like put my books away in such a way that like they are all easily within reach and I don't have to move furniture to get to them, and I don't live that life and that stresses me out. I'm having like minor anxiety because of this process, but I'm sure like once I get to the end of it I'll feel better. So all right, I guess we're gonna keep on going. Okay, so it's done. It took me exactly 3.5 hours, but I did not do this bookshelf apart from piling on some nonfiction. I will eventually get to the nonfiction bookshelf, but the fiction, the poetry, the anthologies, and my TBR have been dealt with, which is a big deal. So essentially, this shelf, and these 2 shelves, including quite a bit of this shelf, have been reorganized. Unfortunately, I had to abandon any thoughts or hopes or dreams that I had of organizing either alphabetically or by subject or by language, because what ended up mattering the most was size, the size of the books. So basically, could I actually fit them on the shelf without them falling off? So, and as you can see, I did not even quite succeed with TBR shelf number 2. So, this is a really fascinating thing for me to see exactly how many books I have to read, because I think I've always kind of prided myself on being someone who actually reads all of the books that I have, and this is a lot of books that I need to read. In my defense, quite a bit of this shelf are books that I've either started, half read, or have read in the past, and I just want to reread them because it's been a little while and I want to make sure that I really want to keep them on my shelf. And if going through them I'm sort of not excited or just something isn't clicking, maybe they don't need to live with me, maybe they can go live with someone who is going to really appreciate them and love them. So that is the organization. That is what I've just done. So Yeah, this is really interesting. What I'm finding kind of fascinating about all of this too is that there's a lot more fiction here than I thought. I sort of thought that I have had a really good handle on all of the fiction, but in fact, quite a bit of this is fiction. And quite a bit, and so there's like, some oldies like Dracula that I want to read, and but like there's tons of fiction here, lots of science fiction. The Starlit Wood that I haven't gone through, Isidore et les autres, which is a book that I bought like years ago and I never read, and I was really excited to read it. So let's actually read it. So that's my TBR pile, and of course, Proust and Sanderson and Umberto Eco. It may take me a while to get to them, but they should be on my TBR list. So that's that. This has been a really interesting kind of reality check for me, because I think I did not actually realize how much I still needed to go through in my pile. So this has been pretty great. I'm really glad I did this. And despite the fact that I was not able to organize alphabetically the way I would have really wanted to, I just have too many books for that. So size is more important, actually getting them to all fit on the shelf. That way they actually have a home and they live somewhere and they're not just floating around my apartment being moved in piles. That's the goal. So as long as I could do that, I'm pretty happy with this result. Despite, I don't like stacking books. This is not convenient. When you get a book and half the books fall on top of you, it's not convenient, but at least they do live on the shelf. So that is good. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for this video. Yep, so really quick commercial. I am on Patreon, so come join me on Patreon. I sometimes post things there that I don't post anywhere else. And otherwise, catch you on Instagram or on Twitter or on YouTube, and I'll see you next time. Bye.